welcome back to our very first vlog video in forever. This is the week that our locals finally started hosting events again, and I cannot be more excited. However, as per our story time, when I mentioned I hadn't played a deck in a very long time because I had no locals to go to, that persisted into the next week of me continuing to not play a single game of Yu-Gi-Oh! But last night, I finally added the 40th card into my Madolche deck, and it's kind of garbage still, but today we get to finally test it against what could potentially be a learning experience, hopefully. I have no idea if our old local gang is even going to be there. I don't know if there's going to be 5 people or 20 people.
She's being bad.
Yeah. You moving all that rug. So anyways, we don't have nubbins, but we have Kiki power. So, we don't know what we're doing. We don't fully remember how to play our deck. We don't know how many people are going to be there or how many rounds it's going to be, but we hope to have fun and we hope to remember how to play. And I'm actually really excited because I know not a single person has a single updated deck for the current format, and it's going to be great because it's essentially just going to be a casual locals, and I hope to be able to see everyone that I've been missing. So let's go to locals.
Denied.
They did have it.
That's mean!
Celebrations on screen. And
No, that's hilarious. See, that's
the legacy one. I saw the legacy Galvatron
just sit right here.
And I got Coronation from a while ago.
Alrighty, so it's technically the next day. It is Sunday and no longer Saturday. I ended up getting busy after locals and I was tired, I was hungry, and I ended up not filming the ending, so we're doing the ending today. Luckily, I took lots of notes on each match, so I'll give you the rundown. Firstly, I played MeoLammerz, if you couldn't already guess, and my first game was against Ultrageist, which I lost very, very quickly with a swift 2-0. It was a huge blast from the past with this deck, and MeoLammerz still suck against it, at least the pure variant of the deck does. There was at one point where I tried to activate an effect under skill drain because I completely forgot it was there, and my opponent reminded me that I couldn't, and so I looked at him and said, "But could I convince you that skill drain isn't there? Can I roll a persuasion check on that?" And he laughed and said that I would get a critical fail. So, little D&D joke. At least my... What are you doing?
I avenged her later on in round 3.
You wanted to be a part of the video?
Just this part. Just this one part. I came back and I have to mention every time I beat Altergeist. I hate that deck.
Oh, I beat Ultrageist.
I did. Round 3 I played the same guy, our buddy Adrian, and
yeah.
I won.
You're making me look short. So my second game was against Albaz or Branded, whichever you prefer. It was my first time actually seeing the deck be played. I did see the structure deck, but I didn't actually read the cards because your girl is lazy. This one actually was a super tough game. We ended up going like the entire 40 minutes. If I remember correctly, he went first and he summoned out Mirror Jade pretty quickly, and this is a card I hadn't seen before, as I mentioned. It was a bit of a struggle because he just had like a free banish, and then if I like did anything to it, he could just banish my whole field. I did try to bait him to get rid of it at one point with Escape Device, but I couldn't get his second monster off the field, so he ended up voting to get rid of his other monster instead, which I was like, ah. I actually had a pretty big misplay here. I was able to get out Zeus. Thank you, Tyler, for letting me borrow your Zeus. I was able to get out Zeus for one of the first times, and he was like, on summon, I'm gonna banish this by sending a fusion monster. And for some reason, my brain was like, oh, this is like Judgment, so I can't activate Zeus. And I totally should have activated Zeus in response, but I didn't because I hadn't really played the card ever. So now I know. In the end, I was able to win in time, though. I survived just long enough because he attacked me with 1k damage, but it wasn't enough because I had 78 and he had 49. So I ended up winning by life points. I honestly felt a little bad because this was my one official win of the day, and he kind of seemed a little disappointed afterwards. I felt really bad about it. It was not a fun win, and it kind of sucked. And to be honest, it made me feel not really interested in playing the rest of the day because I don't like hurting people's feelings, but that's just kind of how the game was. There was no way he was gonna win. So, I don't know. My next round, round 3, was against Cyber Dragons. I sadly lost this with another not as swift 2-0. I opted to go second because I built my deck to go second. However, I realized very quickly in this tournament that if I don't go first, I don't normally do very well. My going second hand was literally 2 Angeles and nothing else. But since he went first, he had already set up a Almirage, a Link Karibo, and an Infinity. So when I got out Baby, he negated it with Infinity, and I just had no way to push past that. So 1 Baby on field, I passed, and I just kept drawing into nothing. So he ended up taking game 1 really quick. Game 2, I opted to go first, and I set up a Sis Start with an Ala mode. I know I could have built a bigger board, but I ended up misplaying because I'm just rusty and out of practice. But I completely forgot about Mega Fleet, so whenever I passed turn, he used my Sis Start as material, got out a 45 Mega Fleet, and hit my Ala mode. And at that point I had literally no cards left in hand. I drew pudding and I was done for because I couldn't do anything with my brick. And my last game was Cyber Dragons. Honestly, I was surprised to see this deck not only once but twice. I do think it's a really fun deck. I do think it's a great deck to take to locals, but I just didn't expect it at all. So when I won the die roll, I opted to go first because, like I said, at this point I learned that going second wasn't my best way to gain advantage, so I opted to go first. However, when I passed, he mega fleeted with my Sith start. And, you know, he used Seeger to buff his Mega Fleet to 45, he hit my 3k a la mode. At one point he was also able to get out Rampage, and I used Queen Tiramisu to shuffle back Rampage and Mega Fleet, so all he had was a Seeger on field. And I was able to just beat over him and win that one really quickly, and I was super proud about it, especially after my loss to Cyber Dragons just only one game beforehand. Game 2, I was made to go first, but I had a hand that was so bad that I took a picture of it. To be fair, it wasn't the absolute worst hand ever. At least I had a card that I could potentially play. However, I chose to keep my hand full, hoping to draw into something better. My hand consisted of a Ash Blossom, a Skullmeister, 2 Messengelados, and a Salon, so I could have potentially done a little something. However, I thought that I would gain more advantage if I just kept the materials in hand and possibly Ash or Skullmeistered something during his turn. So I passed. He then used Power Bond to get at a 48k Rampage Dragon and hit me directly. It hurt a lot. I ended up drawing into tickets, so I set Messengelado, I set Ticket, and I set Salon, and I passed again with basically nothing. He then ran over my Messengelado, set 2 in his back row, and passed turn. In the end, anytime I tried to get out something, he had a negate on board. He impermed me twice at one point. I just couldn't do anything but get out like 1 card and try to block attacks. But in the end, he in time hit me for game and we ended up tying. So my total score was 1-1, which isn't terrible for an 11-person locals, but I ended up getting 9th place, so I was in the bottom 3. Kinda sucks because I used to be one of the top players, but I'm just so rusty. However, I was able to kind of relearn some of those combos I was forgetting, and now I know what needs to be tweaked in my deck, what kind of decks that I'm probably going to see in my local area again, and honestly, it was really fun to play the game again. After locals, we ended up going out to dinner with a friend, and then we had a watch party. So I ended up having a really great day overall, despite my only win feeling like a loss and not doing the best at locals. So I'm excited for hopefully next week, where potentially we will play something new and try to do a little bit better. So remember, keep playing, keep collecting, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!